Okay, motor car nut here. Today we're going to be working on a TSI 2.0 turbo VW engine. These engines are found in many models from 2008 and a half to 2014, including Audis. All right, this is the TSI, not the TFSI. That's a different engine. But this engine is found in Passats, it's the Tiguan, the CC, Audi A4, you name it, this engine's probably in it. Okay, if it looks like this with this type of valve cover. On the Audis, it's going to be, well, it's going to say Audi on it, and it's going to be horizontal, vertical instead of horizontal. So anyway, we're going to be taking off the cylinder head because of a timing chain tensioner failure. I have a lot of videos on how to take the manifold off or how to look for that tensioner. But this video, I'm going to do the whole complete job, start to finish. Okay? So you stick with me. Please subscribe, hit that like button. I got many videos, hundreds of videos, how to save money, do it the right way, how to save thousands of dollars. All aspects of cars, all models and trucks, doesn't really matter what it is. I got a little bit of everything, and every day I keep getting more and more and more. All right? Okay, so now, first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect the battery. There's going to be a plastic housing here. You just take the housing off. You're going to see the battery. All right? You disconnect the negative first, 10 millimeter, positive first, 10 millimeter, and that's off. And you're going to be where we're at right now. Okay? Then, next thing you're going to do, there's two Torx bolts here. There's one here and one in here. All right, they have to come out. Then what we're going to do, we're going to release this clip here. They're going to take the I think these are 8 millimeter or 7 millimeter. Look like 8. Oh wait, oh those are Torx too. I'm going to give you the Torx spec. I'm going to give you the Torx sizes before I continue. Before I take them off. All right. Then what you're going to want to do is disconnect this connector. Okay. Take the spring clamp off here, and you're going to take the spring clamp off this hose about down here. It's over there. You see it right there? It's right there where the light is. All right. And then there's going to be a bolt right here. You can see it in the back here, but it's in the back. Now you want to take this tube off, the air cleaner, and then the bottom of the air cleaner. Take this off. This just comes off. It's just clipped on here. These just come off to give yourself a little bit more room. This just pops off. You just grab it and yank it, and she pops off. You turn it around and make sure you got all your rubber inserts. They're all there. You take this out of the way, and we're going to continue. I'm going to show you all the little tricks. Like when you go underneath the engine on this car, it looks like the main seal is blown, and very well could be on a lot of cars, because if you don't replace the PCV, like there's a little hole here. All right, when the engine's running, if you have suction through here, that means it's blown. And if you don't, and if it's blown, it's going to create a little too much pressure and blow out that seal, because that seal has no spring in the seal. It's just a form seal. That's how all these new cars do it. It's cheaper, and you know that's how it's done. But on this car, I can already see, and I have a video on this. If you're looking down in here, let me take this off and see if you can see it. Bear with me. Okay. You see that? You see that puddle of oil right there where the light is? Now that's leaking from the vacuum pump on the here. This is the vacuum pump is over here. This is the vacuum pump right here, and the high pressure fuel pump is there. All right. That pump leaks. It leaks down. It leaks on the in between the engine and transmission. Goes all the way down, and it looks like it's a main seal leak. Now, How do you know it's not a main seal? I mean, if that was dry up there and it's wet, I'll show you what it looks like when it's wet underneath there. If it's dry up here and wet down there, then it's the main seal. And why is that important? Because this job, if that main seal is leaking, you might as well just pull the engine, because you don't want to just take the head off, take the side cover off, do all of that work inside the car just to remove, you know, and just to start it up, and it's going to leak. So if that main seal is leaking, you have to pull the engine. That's not this video. This video is assuming that that is not leaking, because like I said, it's soaking wet here. So I'm going to assume that it's not leaking. I'm going to take a gamble on that. But like I said, if yours is dry up there near the vacuum pump, then it's the main seal, and you have to pull the engine. And I have a video, not on pulling the engine, but I have a video of it out, if you want to look at all of that stuff. But this one is about taking off the head, taking off the side cover, and the valves are probably damaged. And so we're going to take it from there. So right now, let me get the torque spec, the torque sizes for the bolts here, and the one over there, and the air cleaner. Okay, you're going to need a T25 and a T30. So over here is the T25s, and around the air cleaner, and the one that takes the bolt off in the back over here is a 30. All right, and you're going to take the clip off. We're going to take this stuff out of the way. What I did right now, I loosened these, took the electrical connector off here, the spring clamp here. Now this comes off. There's also, on this right here, I have this thing, you squeeze these sides and it moves. See that? And it pops out, that one here. Okay. Now I took out the 25 T-Torx over here, and there's little tabs here. You lift them off, try not to break them. This side and this side, and this comes off. This way you can just snake this out. All right, you snake that out, and just pull this out. Okay. And after you do that, take the air filter out. Now we're going to take this off. That's a T30, and I think that's the only one. All right, and we get this out so we have more room to work. Okay, and we're going to take it from there. I didn't take that part off yet. Just push up on this side and that side. There's little rubber mounts in there. You see, they just pop up, and this is still your coolant hose. I didn't drain the coolant yet, so you just go like this. Just snake the hose out of there. Okay. On the bottom over there. Okay, so little by little it's giving you room. The whole fan's gonna have to come out too, because there's bolts here. I don't like to work, you know, hurting my hands. I like to move a couple things out of the way. If you feel like it's faster to leave it in, that's up to you. Let's get a better look out here, what I'm talking about with the leak. How it leaks down in here and went in the back there and all the way down in the bottom. See, it's all wet. All right, so now I'm going to take the rest of the air intake pipe off. You're going to take off this clamp first, so you can bend this out of the way so you can get to this hose. To pop this one off, you have to squeeze it in to get it off of here, because it doesn't come off. It's fused onto the PCV unit over here. You can't get it off. You have to take it off like that. And then you just take this whole thing out of the way. So now I'm going to go on the bottom, and we're going to drain the coolant, because we want to take off the lines over here, and that's the next step. You're going to need the T25 to take off the this bottom splash pan, and while you're there, you want to take off the wheel well liner. You want to take off this, and this part. I believe they're all the same. Yeah, 25. So you take those off because you have to work on this side where the timing color is, and it's just easier that way. All right, so I'm gonna take 1, 2, and the bottom thing out. Bottom splash pan. Now here's what I'm showing you. See over here how it looks like it's the main seal? Well, nothing is dripping really out of this little hole, which will give you an indication it was the main seal. On a lot of other cars, yeah. But now, if you go to the back, let me spin it around. You see what I'm talking about? You see how it goes all the way up? And it goes all the way up here, in between the bell housing. And it comes where it was leaking upstairs before, I told you. It's coming all the way down here, because if this was just a main seal leak, it would just blow a little bit. It won't blow all the way up and make a puddle. So that's what's telling me that it's the seal that was up there on the vacuum pump. So now, what you do, you release the clamp here, and over here is gonna have a 27 T Torx, and on top is gonna be another one right on that outside of it, a 27. And then up top, you're gonna, on the throttle body, you're gonna release the clamp. I already did that. And over here, there's gonna be a connector. I have a video on how to take the VW connectors off. There's a little square slot. You just twist it a little bit, don't break it, and then it slides right out. It's easy to break the tongue, and then it won't lock in place. All right, and then if there's a little bit of oil when it comes out of here, the turbo tube, that's normal. Especially if the car has some mileage on it, that's normal. All right, and then she just comes down. I gotta wiggle it out of the way. And over here you take off this connector, because this valve's gonna come off too, the whole thing. Okay, then you get on this side, and you want to take this off too. I think it's 30 on both sides, and it connects over here to the cooler. Yep. And up there, there's a little like a little clip, circlip. You just move it out of the way, you take it out, and take this pipe out. That's what we're gonna do. So I just connected it from here. You see, instead of taking it off the radiator and, you know, breaking that O-ring seal, I took it off with a clamp that's right here. And let it drain, because there's no drain plug. Okay, and once that drains, we're gonna go back up top. So, I took the inspection plug out. I have a video on this also that tells you if the old tension is in here, and if the old tension is in here and the car don't start, bad news. Took it out, and sure enough, that has the ring on it. You see the sleeve, the little sleeve? That's the old one. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is squeeze this, take the PVC hose off on both sides. Now, if you're not familiar where the lines go, it's a good idea to mark them. You know, 1, 1. So when you take it off, you know 1 goes to 1. All right. We're gonna take off this line, the coolant line right here. Move it out of the way. Like I said, this one. And most of these lines, I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Well, basically, you just take them off the easiest way you think it is. And the water pump for the turbo down there that comes up here, it's gonna get this whole. You're gonna take these I believe those are 30 Torx. You're gonna take that whole pipe out, okay? And we'll take it from there. Let me do that, and then we'll keep going from there. Took the fuel line off. Take the line over here. They're both here. Here's the fuel line. Just tucked it away like that. Took this line off here because there's going to be a water pipe that goes to the back. It's under this aluminum heat shield. We have to take that off. So I took that off from here. Took this one off from here. You really can't mess them up because once you put it back, this one can't go here. It has to go where here. And where's this one going to go? You know what I mean? It goes here. So you do your own thing. Over here, there's a little lock, a little gray tab. You push this tab out, and then you push it, and then you can take that off. Now, you're gonna have to get down here. This line right here is gonna have two plugs. They're hooked up to the turbo solenoids down there and the wastegate. You have to get those off because we're gonna take this whole wire harness and move it that way. Okay, so now after that, I'm gonna take off the two heater lines here. I'm gonna take this whole bracket and this one here. Well, somebody already took that off. And then this whole thing comes out of the way because we're gonna take the intake manifold off. We're gonna take the exhaust manifold. And the exhaust manifold with the turbo is gonna stay in the car. It's a trick, it saves you so much time. I'm gonna show you how to do that, where I have other videos specifically just for the turbo. If you wanna know how it comes off, it basically sits down in a channel and then the top screws lock it in place. So when you release it, you take the top screws out and then it'll tilt forward and slide up enough that the turbo will move back, and that saves you a lot of time. Okay, but okay, so now I'm gonna take this off like I said, and from there we're gonna continue. Okay, now when you're taking this the water pipe out for the turbo, there's gonna be, see that one right there? It's gonna be one right here. You gotta release the clamp, take that off so you can pull the whole unit out. And then I'm gonna take this water line and move it out of the way. Okay, now, like I said before, here's that hose. I didn't take it all the way out because it's connected to a bracket down there. I believe that's a 30, Torx 30. Now, you can leave it here like this. So far, I was saying I'm gonna take out the radiator. I've been doing that before. I'm not gonna do it right now, see if I don't need to. It's kind of, you know, flat and shallow. Like I said, I'm showing you how to do it. You can always cut a little bit corners if you know, something you don't want to take out or whatever. And that's what I'm going to do on this one. I did hundreds of these cars. And, you know, I do them all different types of ways. So this one looks like it doesn't have, just it stays right there. I don't think it's going to be in the way. All right, so now we're going to take off this vacuum hose thing. You want to mark these lines. All right, we want to basically peel back all the electrical stuff. We're going to take off the coils, ignition coils. Again, let me show you. Okay, so now when you take off the coils and everything, these are the plugs I'm talking about. You see them? You just put a screwdriver right here, and what you do is, because right now there's pressure on here because there's a little rubber seal in here, so it's putting pressure on the outside. So what you do is relieve the pressure by pushing it in a little bit, and then just take your screwdriver, don't break this, and just turn it a little bit. And what that does, it releases the little lever in there. Let me see if I can do it with a... I don't want to get you dizzy. This is how... Well, anyway, just do what I said. In the back, over here, I took off the line over here. There's a line back here, over here, and off the brake booster. And this little cluster thing comes right out, and this goes, it hooks onto the line over here, and goes to the top of the solenoid valve right here. So this whole little thing, you just take it like this, all right? And this one, when you put it back, you pretty much know where it goes. It's good to mark it if you're not familiar with it. Okay, so now, took off all the electrical connectors here. There's a ground, see this ground right here? It goes right here with this 10 millimeter. All right, you loosen that all up. Now, like I said, I'm gonna go underneath, and there's two more plugs because it won't, they're right down there. This way I can move this whole electrical thing onto the side. And now on the bottom here, here's one, and the other one is over here. One, and one is right here. Okay, you take those two out. Make sure there's no other clips holding the harness, and that goes right out. Now the water pump performance, I told you I'm going to leave it in. If you want to, if you want to take it out, it's right here. That looks like a 30 millimeter. Not a 30, I mean a T Torx 30 you can use. And you could just take that out, just disconnect it if you want to. We're gonna go back up top again. Okay, before we go up top, it's probably a good idea, because the one over here, the electrical connector over here, it's hard to get to, but you have to take this off anyhow to get the timing cover off. So there's three Torx 30s, 1, 2, and 3, and you take this little part of the turbo out, this aluminum piece, and then you can get to that plug. It's easier, and it's coming off because you have to take the cover off anyway. Okay, now these plugs over here, the big thick one, all right, there's a bracket here. You may have to take the bracket off so you can get to the prong right here. You pry this, like I said before, and you slide this off, all right, and then the same thing with this one right here. Okay, and then this stays in the car, and this is all part of all these electrical things that are up here. Okay, now in the back over here, you have to get this plug off because this harness stays in the car. You take this plug off, and then I'm pretty sure, and over here, the oil pump pressure switch, I'm pretty sure that has to come off. Take that off. Over here, take that one off. Take this line off. It's the same thing. You squeeze this and pull it out. Okay. And now I'm trying to think what else. And now the high pressure fuel pump. This is a 17 millimeter. Unscrew that. The 30 millimeter, 30 T Torx over here and over here. Take the pump off. And the same thing with the side over here, the vacuum pump. We're going to take this off. Got to take all of that stuff off. That's what I'm going to do. Over here, I think it's the same thing. 30 millimeter. I think there's 1, 2, 3. I think there's 3 or 4. I think there's 3. 1, 2, and 3. And the whole pump comes off. When you take the high pressure fuel pump off, there's going to be the plunger in here. Don't forget that. Sorry. See that? Sometimes these fail. I mean, this one's showing a little wear, but sometimes they're so bad, and they only go in one way. See the key? The key is on the top, so this only goes in one way, like this. Okay, you put this to the side. You can screw the bolts. See what I did? I put the bolts back in there. Wherever you can screw bolts where they belong back is a good thing because it keeps everything in order. Now I'm going to take the vacuum pump off. So I took it off, and you could see this is an oil passage, and you see it's all wet here. It was leaking, and that's what was making it leak all the way down on the other side. And now when you see on this side, you can see it's all wet here. See, there's a little screen here. Little screen there. Sometimes that screen goes missing, but you see there's a lot of pressure there, and there's only a little skitty piece of gasket here, so you can see why it can easily leak over time, or if it's not torqued down. Somebody looked like they put a little silicone on there, which is a good idea too. When you get a new gasket, put silicone on both sides, but be careful over here. You don't want to squish it where it squishes and blocks the screen and give you low oil pressure. So that's the reason why these things leak. And you can see it's all wet over there. Okay, so we're going to continue. Okay, now you want to take the heater core hoses off. I put one over here already. Took it off. There's going to be 2 bolts, one here and one here, and it releases. Oh, here. See, it releases it. So you can put it underneath so you can get to the other clamp to get this one off. And just when you get this one off, you just move this out of the way because we have to work on this side to get the exhaust off the turbo. All right, so you want plenty of room there. You can leave this valve on for now. Like this thing, this valve goes with the head. And as long as this line is clear and this line, it's fine. I'm going to take that line off, and then we're going to take the bolts out of the intake manifold. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I believe 10. Again, I got a video on just taking that off. We're going to pull that out now. Now, once you take out the bolts, you're going to look under here, and there's going to be a bracket. You see over here, a bracket. It hooks to here. I think it's a 13 millimeter there, and over there is a spline drive. I don't know if you can see it. Well, it's this aluminum one right here. Here we go. Let's see if I can zoom it in. Here we go. You see over here, it's like a spline drive. I don't think you have to take that one off. But if you can get to this one over here, I think it's a 13. I'm going to just take that off. Then you can take the manifold off, and then I don't even know if you have to take it off. I'm going to try. We'll see. A lot of times they're missing because they're a pain in the neck to get to, but they're supposed to be put back. They're there for a reason. All right, well, we're not clear. Okay, here we go. Now, once you get those bolts off, it's not going to just slide right off. You have to pry it because the injectors have seals, and they're pressed in, like, so to speak. So it has to be pried on both sides until she comes out, and make sure no wires, make sure you disconnected everything that's not going to pull. All right, when I take it off, I'm going to show you what it looks like and what all the wiring that is on it when you take it off, so you don't have to take that off. Okay, now you're going to have to take that bottom bolt out. That's right there, and you're going to need something that looks like this. Sometimes they're called a triple square. This one is a 10 millimeter CRV M10, and it's like a spline drive or a triple square. That's what you need to get it out, because that is a 13 millimeter bolt nut that's in there, but you can't slide it out because it's a stud. So you got to take that out. So now, over here you're going to have a lot of electrical connections here, right? That's these right here. Okay, they have to be disconnected because they are hooked up to the harness. Okay, once you disconnect those, then you're going to have another one right here. That is this plug right here. You see this orange one, brown one right there, right in there. That's this one. Okay, and here's that bracket I was talking about. Okay, it was like this, so, and there's a bolt in it, so you couldn't move it out without taking the whole thing out. Okay, so now, and on the pack of wires over here, let me show you. You see all of these? This doesn't even have to be disconnected. This can still be back over here like this. The green one only has to come out, because the green one, that's this one right here. It's hooked up to this harness. And here's the other plugs, okay, that are hooked up, that go hooked up over here. Okay, so now, after that, see, I'll put the camera here so you can see it, is that they're pressed in over here, the injectors. Let me show you. Each one gets in, they're like kind of like pressed in. And that's why it doesn't just come out. Okay? So that's how we take that out. And now we're going to continue. Okay, now we're going to take the overflow tank out. So plug right here. Take that plug out. Move the harness out of the way. Over here, going to have a T25 and a T25 over there. Take the water overflow tank out. Okay, take the top timing cover off. What you're going to do is you're going to take the these three dirties, Torx 30s. Going to take them out. the dipstick, got to take that 30 out. Well, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3. That's 3 with the dipstick. Then you're going to take the top of the timing cover off, and then we're going to take it from there. All right, just to get a peek in there with the intake manifold off. They're open. They're open. Wait, they're open. They're open. They're open. And they're open. That's impossible. They can't all be open. So they're bent. Excuse me. So, it's just typical. I bet the timing chain jumped, bent the valves. Hopefully it didn't touch the bottom end of the engine, like put a hole through the piston. I'll be okay with that. I just wanted to throw that in there. When you take the intake off, if you see them all open, that's not a good sign. Take the serpentine belt off, 17 millimeter, and you go clockwise, and just take the belt right off. Okay, so now we want to take off the harmonic balancer. You're going to need a special tool, okay, that holds the crank while you use a breaker bar and maybe another piece of extension to crack that bolt loose. Now, it's very important. When you take out that center bolt, you hold the harmonic balancer. Now, when you take it out, I'm going to have to show you. Hold on. When you take that out, don't touch it. Don't move nothing. Because you see the little indent there? When you put the harmonic balance back, it's going to have a thicker part that goes right there. Okay, that's not the problem. If you move this right now, it's the secondary chains that's in there. Everything is going to jump timing, and you don't want to do that. In the kit, in that blue kit, in the beginning of the video, the special tool you're going to need, you put this on the bolt, and then you screw it back in. Right, and then you just snug it a little bit with the wrench, just a little bit. Now it's okay. Now you can take the timing cover off, and you're good to go. Because once I take the cover off, I'll show you. If you don't do that, it's going to lose all timing, give you extra work that you really don't want to do or need to do. On the timing cover, you're going to clean it up, and you're going to see a mark. I'm going to highlight it. It's right here. You want to highlight that and make a mark on the harmonic balancer. That's top dead center mark. Mark there. And right there. And that's when we put it back together. I mean, you could do this later, but it's because sometimes that's rusted over there. You want to make sure this one's okay. You just want to make sure you got your mark right there. It's so hard to see it, but it's there. Okay, now while we're down here, you want to loosen up the bracket up here. You see these bolts? These are 12 triple square. There's one there and one there. You want to get those from the bottom. Take them all out. What I did is I took a 12 and I cut it. Well, I cut it. It was too long. And then what I do is I put a wrench, 13 millimeter on it, with another wrench, a 14 or whatever, for more leverage to get those two bolts out. I'm going to take those two out now. Okay, you're going to have to support the engine now. We're going to take out the mount. A couple of reasons for that. We have to get the dipstick out, and you can push it a little bit forward because the exhaust manifold, we have to work on that with the turbo. So top bolts are 18, bottoms, there's 4 of them. 2 17s and 2 18s on the top. And over here there's 2 13 millimeter. You gotta take that out, then you can take it out. Now over here you got another 12 millimeter square drive. You gotta take that bolt out now too, so you can take this bracket off. There's another bolt over here, 30 Torx. You take that out, and you want to be careful you don't break this because it's plastic and it can, it's brittle and it can get stuck. There's an O-ring down there. What you do is, when you do it, you release it and just keep wiggling it back and forth. We could put a little oil down there. Keep wiggling it, and then try to grab it right at the base and wiggle it a little bit more. And think that's it. She came out. All right, you see? Over here, it's got an O-ring, and these things love to break over here, and this gets stuck in the oil in the side of the cover. That's not good. But this one's good. Clean it up. Put a new O-ring on there, and you're good to go. Okay, now I'm going to take this cover off. Those are also 30 Torx. Okay, now, I'm not going to take this off yet. At the beginning of the video, I showed you how you need a special tool to take this off. And this whole thing comes right out. All right, we're going to take the valve cover off now. First, to take the PCV system off. There's many. They're all, I believe, 30 Torx, all the way around. Make sure you put them in a container or something. Don't lose them. There's a lot of them. That's what I'm going to do now. Okay, before we take off the valve cover itself, what we're going to do is we're going to work in the back now, because the valve cover, you got to take off the front cover, release the tension, take off this with the special tool, then we take the valve cover off. So now what we're going to do is work on taking this off. Try to like slide the engine a little bit to the front, and I'll show you what we're doing. All right, first thing we're going to do is take this clamp off here and get this rubber boot out of the way, so and that we can get this little bolt back here. It's a 30 T Torx. Now let's do that. Now this heat shield is going to have a bolt here that I use a T40, and over here a T40. Now there's one right in here that's the trickiest one. If you strip that, you're not going to be able to get that off. You're going to have to rip it off. It's just going to be a big problem. I don't know why they put this there, but it's this type of plug. This is a 6mm. It goes in the back like what I told you. I used a 6mm Allen with a socket and a flexible ratchet, and I got it off. A couple of cars back, I couldn't get that off, and it's hard to work in the back. See, now everything's exposed with the exhaust and everything. You have to get this one off. It's right here, this one, and that's what it looks like from the back when you're looking at it. It's right here. Then you got one here and one here. Those are easy. Okay? Just a note. Okay, now you can see back here, you can get your bolts. And what I said before, it's only the top ones you loosen. Take the top ones out, and then we're going to go on the bottom and remove the bracket. Well, not remove it, we're going to take the bolts off, and I'm going to show you a trick. So, once you get the 12mm bolts on the manifold, exhaust manifold up there, you're going to have two bolts here. I already took them off. These are going to be the triple square 10mm. You take those two out. Now, what you're going to want to do is that bar, that piece of steel bar, you're going to want to bend it with a crowbar. Now, why you do that is because the turbo sits in a channel in the exhaust. It can't just come straight out. It has to be tilted up, tilted back and then up. And then it releases, just a little bit anyway. So with that bracket there, it won't be able to tilt. I'm sorry, it tilts this way, not that way. So when you bend the bracket, here, this bracket, you bend it a little bit out, then on the top, you can move the turbo, the whole unit, everything, and just lift it up a little bit and release it from its mount up there. All right, so we're going to try to do that now. I'm going to bend this little tab, because without that you have to take that bracket off, and for some reason they don't like coming off. So now you can see how it slides into that bottom channel. Hold on a second. Yeah, like this channel, right, not here, here. Now it just slides in and locks in, like that. See this little point right here? That's where it slides in, the whole channel, and you don't have to move the turbo. You don't even have to take take it off from over here. And it's all loose. See? It just stays right there. And when you put the head on, you just slide it right back in. You put a new gasket first, then you slide it back in, and you put your 5 or 6 bolts, whatever they were up there, nuts and bolts. And that takes care of that. That's a big step, because if you have to play around with the turbo and all the other things on it, it's even so much more work. All right. So now, what we're going to tackle is the front cover. I'm going to take the front cover off. All right. Take this main timing chain down, and I want to make sure that the secondary chain didn't jump. All right. So that's what we're going to do next. Now, once you get all your perimeter bolts out, there's an idler pulley here. Take the pulley off and install the bolt again. And the reason for that is because there's a bolt behind here. And what you want to do is you want to move it like this. See that one right there? I took it out already. So you can get it out. And then once it's, you have it out, then you can release it again. Because in order to take this off, you have to take all the other unnecessary things up there for no reason. All right, now, you're going to have to pry this off because it's sealed on there. So you got to be careful you don't distort it, because it has kind of a wide angle here, a certain angle here, and you can distort it. So just try to, like, if you bend it a little bit as you take it off, try to hammer it on a flat piece of steel somewhere and make it, pretty much where it was, or it will leak. All right, so now I'm going to pry this out and take it off. Now, once you get the cover off, you're going to see all your gears there. Don't get nervous. Just follow me and you'll be okay. Now, if you were to take this bolt out and try to turn the engine, see the secondary chain? This whole gear, everything would just fall right out. There's no keyway, there's no shaft or nothing like that. So that was the reason for that. Now, this one looks, I've seen them worse, but you see over here, when I take this off, I'll show you. When I take that clip off, that clip holds a little tooth that's supposed to keep, in other words, when you have oil pressure, you're fine. But when you have no oil pressure, there's supposed to be teeth that keep the plunger from not going all the way in. All right, now look at this. It's not supposed to do that. Do you hear any teeth? It's not even trying to stop anything, because the little teeth that this thing holds in is all stripped. And that's how they fail. All right. Now, you're going to need a Torx, again, a triple square or spline drive 10 millimeter to take the chain guides out. And then we're going to go up top and use a special tool to take the gears off up there. All right. We're going to have to take the gears off over here. Use a special tool that lines up with those over there. And you put it on. Okay, it locks in. Now, when you loosen it, you have to go as if you tighten it, okay? It doesn't go the normal way, righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Right is loosening it, okay? Remember that. And then you just take that little valve out. Okay. And you take it out slowly. And there you got your valve. Okay. Now we're going to take off the T30s all around. And we're going to slide it out. You got to slide it out perfectly straight. You can't cock it to the side, because this thing is precision on the cams here. So you have to take it off really, really straight. And it comes right off. Okay, and you pull it straight out like that. Okay, and you see this pin? That pin, make sure you don't lose it. That's for the chain guide that goes right over here. Right there. Okay, and you just put this to the side, and now we're gonna lock the cam. Okay, sorry, not locking the cams. That's when we put it on, I'm sorry. Okay, so now you gotta take off this triple Torx 10, okay, and this one's already loose on the bottom, and then we're going to take the top chain off, the primary chain. So now you take off the tensioner. We're down on the bottom again. T30s. Take the tensioner out, and what you're gonna do over here, there's a spring. You're gonna take a screwdriver and release the spring from this lever. See right here? You gotta move it away from this thing behind here. Take this 30 millimeter out, and this is for the oil pump, and just take this lever out, okay? You could take the chain off after that and just let it fall over here. It's not gonna go all the way down. And there's no keyway, no lining up the oil pump, so that's not a problem. So I took that out, so this just can slide down and come right out. You inspect them. It's a good idea to replace these, especially if they're old. I mean, you know, has mileage on them because they get brittle. They don't cost that much. Now, this one, I was talking about, let's say you put the chain back on. This is gonna go, this piece right here, when you push this all the way on, it's gonna get tucked under this, in the back of this, right there. All right? So then, you just take this off. This is a T30. Okay, just take this whole thing out of the way. And now, like I said, this chain can just come off. Come on. All right. And this can stay right there. It's not going to go nowhere. That's the pump. You could just leave it on the side. So now, okay, you take this out. And this one just slides out too. All right, there's gonna be, see these marks over here? All right, they have 3 links that's gonna line up, and this yellow one's gonna point down. I'm gonna show you. What you do is, if you can, you turn the crank, right? I don't know if I can turn the crank right now, because I think the valves are hitting, but you keep turning the crank, maybe about 5 or 6 times, and make sure that these all line up. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And the reason for that, you want to make sure that this didn't jump time. This tensioner rarely ever goes bad. All right, the secondary tensioner. But just to make sure you're all inspect there, this way you just got to worry about when you put it back on, you have to just time the top, just the crank with the 2 cams on the top. All right, so now we're going to go on the top, and we're going to take off the valve cover and the cams and the lifters and all that stuff. Okay, let me show you the secondary timing marks. Now, I'm going to line them up and then show you. On this gear, there's going to be a dot that lines up with this colored link. On this gear, there's a dot, I highlighted it, that's going to line up with that colored link. Now, on the crank, you're going to have two dots. The one closest to the bottom is the secondary chain, and the other one that's up has a point up. That's for this chain, that's for the primary chain. This is the secondary chain, so you want to line it up to the secondary chain. And now, you see that yellow? The yellow mark with the pointer, that's going to point down, and then we should be in line. And that's important because you want to know if that jump, you know, if you had a problem with this engine's not starting, you want to make sure to eliminate things. Make sure that this didn't jump. Okay, so now we're going to put this pretty much, see, it's hitting a little bit. It's hitting a valve. I mean, the valve is probably bent. Anyway, so something like that, where it's pretty much straight down. And you can't mess up with the links, you know, because you see the dot, the white dot, different color link. White dot, different color link. And white dot, different color link. And the pointer is straight, the yellow, there's an arrow that points straight down. You know that the timing on the secondary chains is fine. Okay? Like I said, that time tensioner rarely ever goes. Okay, so I just wanted to make that point when putting it back together. And then when you're putting it back together, this colored link is gonna match up with this one. See this one? This is the secondary. It's gonna match up this way, and on the top, it's gonna also have two lines. This is easy to line up. Okay, now when you take the valve cover off, make sure you loosen them inward, outward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like that. Okay, took the cams out. Make sure you line them up where they belong. I put them down over there. Put them in the same direction. Okay, you're gonna take the lifters out. Okay, the roller rockers, I mean, with the so you take them out and you put them exactly on something nice and clean, all the way exactly like from 1 to 8 or whatever it is. Put them all exactly the same way on both sides on something on the floor or on the table or whatever. So when you put it back, everything goes back. You don't switch in, and because they have to go back in the same spot if you're not replacing them, because they all have different characteristics of wear. And you want to make sure you put them all back exactly the way they were, assuming they're all good. Okay, I'm going to take them all out now. Okay, after that, make sure there's going to be 4 30 Torx over here. Make sure you take those out. And then you're going to use another special tool. You see this? It looks like a star, you know, Torx. It's a little bit different. It's for VWs. Goes in here, and make sure that, see, goes in there nice and tight. Make sure you get the proper one. And what you want to do is, if you have some compressed air, you know, put a towel over the area of where the bolt head is and spray it. Make sure they're nice and clean, because you don't want to strip the head bolts. Okay? And you do the same thing, inward, out, to take them off. That's what we're going to do. Took the head off, and sure enough, every intake valve is smashed. Look at them. Everyone is smashed open. The exhaust, okay. They're good. So that's what happened. Okay, so now gonna clean this up, do head work to it, get all new gaskets, put it back together, and once I start putting the head back on, I'll continue the video. Okay, I wanted to show you what fails on these timing chain tensioners. I took the clip off. This clip goes here, and in here you have, basically, this thing has teeth on it, and that clip holds it. It's like a spring clip, and it just strips. So let's take this out. All right, let's do it this way. And now, look at the teeth in here. Teeth in there, a little bit stripped over there. Now this thing, I'm sure I dropped it. Hold on a second. Okay, you see? The teeth are missing. It has 1, 2. It's supposed to have 4 nice sharp teeth. And they're just stripped, gone. Look at that. A simple little thing causes all this damage and all this money. Alright, guys. When I start rebuilding it, I'll get right back to you. Okay, so now once the head is off and you do whatever kind of repair work it had to be done, make sure you clean the gasket really good. It has to be completely flat, oil-free. I have another video on how I clean the head. Okay, and once you get it nice and clean, you want to check it. Make sure, especially if it overheated and it has to be milled. And even if it's not overheated, you still want to check it for flatness with a mechanic square. Okay. Again, have another video. I'm going to link them down. How to check the flatness of the deck and the cylinder block with a feeler gauge and a mechanic's straight edge, not square, straight edge. Okay, so now once it's all clean, if you remember, all the valves are bent, I replaced them. Okay, we want to make sure the surface of the cylinder head is clean. We're going to go check that out now. I mean, not the cylinder head, the cylinder block. We're going to check that out right now. Okay, again, same thing over here. Make sure the deck is nice and clean. Okay, you can just check, see, here's the water pump if you wanted to know. Electronic. On the sides, make sure everything is clean, dust free. If you want, you can get a little wire brush lightly and scrape off a little bit of the carbon and physically check your pistons, make sure they're not cracked, especially on the edges over here where the indentation is, you know, and then you crank it up and bring those to the top center and check those. These are all good. And the side over here where the gasket seal is going to come all around, make sure it's all clean before you start. Okay, and when you put the head gasket on, it only goes on one way, and make sure it's completely clean. No, don't put no gasket sealers on that or nothing. Okay, it has to be nice and clean and put on. And when you put the head on, try not to scratch it while you're moving the head on. Try to like line up your eyes with the head bolts of the cylinder head and the block, maybe with a light or something on your head, and try to put it down in one shot. You don't want to like put it and then wiggle it on, because you can scratch the material of the gasket. Okay? Before you put the head on, don't forget to put these little intake runners in there, dividers. They go with the V inside, and it only can go one way. Look, I'll show you. Put it this way. See, it doesn't really go, it's not flush. Turn it around. And now it's flush over here. So what that says is, you see it? How it's flat on the top? It doesn't go this way. It goes this way. And you just slide them in. And then you put your intake manifold gasket. So now we're going to put the gasket on. Zoom it out. And you see it goes in the pins here. See? And before you put it on, what you would like to do is inspect it. Make sure see the black sealant that's impregnated in it on both sides. Just make sure there's nothing scratched, nothing like that. It's not kinked anywhere. And basically it only goes on one way, like I said before. All right. Make sure it's nice and clean, of course, obviously. And then when you put the head on, try to put the head on straight. You know, don't wiggle it and you know, chance ruining the surface here. So I'm going to put the head on right now. And before you put it on, put the exhaust manifold gasket on, because it's going to be a lot easier, because that exhaust manifold is going to be right up to here, and it's going to be hard to slip this on. Okay? The torque sequence is going to be here. Is going to be 1. See, they don't care if it's this one is tightened first before this one, as long as this is number 1 set. So 1, then you got your 2, then you got your 3, then you got your 4, and then you got your 5. And each one has 2. So basically 1, you go 1, 2, then you go 2, 2, 3, and then 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10. Okay, and now you hand tighten them first in the same sequence. Then you do 30 pounds, 30 foot-pounds, same sequence. And then you're gonna do 90, you're gonna have to do a 90-degree turn, which would be from here to here. That's 90. I mean, you could do an angle torque wrench, or you can do it with a ratchet. Okay, that just fell. All right, it doesn't really matter, as long as it's pretty much parallel, pretty much straight, and then you go pretty much 90 degrees, that's good. Okay, then you do that, and then you're gonna do it another 90. Okay, so to recap, the torque sequence is hand tight. Okay, 1, 2, like that, like you spread it out. 30 foot-pounds, same sequence. 90, additional 90 degrees, and then another additional 90 degrees. Okay, and then on these small ones over here, the 4 right here, you're going to do them 71 inch-pounds and then an additional 90. Okay, and that can just go in any sequence. You work from the inside out, that's all. And then the head is torqued down. I'm going to do that now. Once the head is torqued down, we're going to put the lifters in, we're going to put the cams in, and we're going to put the cam cover on there, valve cover. Now, you're going to need a special sealant that goes here, it goes all around here, around here. Let me show you. Sealant like this, the anaerobic gasket maker. It's red, it's very thin. It's better than a gasket maker because these surfaces are machined very tight. So when you put pressure and you torque them, it squirt out so much that it can interfere with the cam journals and things like that. Where this one, it doesn't expand as much, and you use a very thin coat. And when there's no air exposed, it hardens like a rock, and that's what they want. All right, it's got to go on all the surfaces here. It goes around the spark plug holes on the perimeter and everything. Got to make sure you don't put it where it's going to slide into the journals. Okay. So, and when you put things together, don't use oil. Use assembly lube, like this. It's a slick assembly lube. It's sticky, so it doesn't drip and make a mess all over the place. And it's good when you first start the engine. Because when you first start the engine, the oil's not going to be on the top, and it's, you know, that stickiness lubrication lubricates the engine while the engine oil pressure builds up. So that's just a nice tip. So when you put the cams in, well, make sure that the lifters, they go in there. There's a little channel on top of the valve stem. Make sure they seat it in on each one. They're nice and straight. And when you put these in, there's going to be a mark here. Okay, you see this mark right here? All right, that mark there, and that one is a pretty big mark. You can see it right there. Now, you want to put it, see, like if you rotate this a little bit, you see how it jumps all the way up? You want to put it where it seats pretty much like flat. You don't care about the mark right now. And when you put it in, make sure that the pistons are all in line a little bit lower. Don't keep nothing at top dead center. A little bit lower than top dead center when you put the cam cover on, the valve cover, okay? And like I said, you see if I turn this how it wants to jump up, just go it until it seats pretty much normal. Same thing on this side. You see how it wants to jump up? Put it till it seats normal, and that gives you basically the marks that are pretty much right there. One is there, and one is there. And that's good enough to put the cover on and torque it down. And then we're going to realign the cams and the chain and everything like that. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare the cam cover, valve cover. We have to put that sealer on there. I'll show you how to do that. And then make sure we're going to clean up all the surfaces. Make sure there's no oil or assembly lube before we put the cover on and torque it down. Now you're going to be applying this sealer, okay, gasket maker. Before you do that, you have to clean the surface of the bearing cover, valve cover. And you see there's like a little moat in between there, a little seam. You have to clean all of those out. That's important because when the gasket maker squeezes out, it's stuck in those little channels and it won't go in the bearing journals. Okay, and basically what you're going to do is you have to get some kind of a roller. This is not proper for this, but I'm using it. You put the gasket sealer on this, and then you just roll it so it's a nice even thin film. All right, and I'm going to show you how I put it on and where it goes and where it doesn't go. Okay, I'm going to put it on now. So this is how you do it. You can stop the video to get an idea where to put it and where not to put it. It goes on the outside perimeter. Okay. And over here is going to be a high pressure fuel pump, so it doesn't have to go closer than this. All right. Over here it's going to have the rubber plug, so it goes all the way to the end. And then you go around the perimeter again and all the spark plug holes. Okay, now the rubber plug over here, put a little silicone sealer on that, black gasket maker or whatever, that's fine, all the way around. So when you put it down, everything's gonna seal. When you get it on, you're going to torque them down. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 2 in the end. That's 6. That's the torque sequence. Okay, and you start from the end. In other words, 1, you start on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, like that, and you get the idea. Okay, 71 inch-pounds first, and then an additional 90 degrees. Okay, 90 degrees is like that. And then that's torque down. And then you're going to be where we are right now. And any excess over here, you could just move it out of the way with your finger a little. Make sure this is nice and sealed. And make sure this is clean so it doesn't interfere when you put down the seal for the vacuum housing with the pump in there and everything. Same thing over here. And note that the exhaust is still off. It's still off because if you didn't take this off, this little tube I told you in the beginning of the video, I didn't take it off because when I took the exhaust off, I realized I had room enough to slip it in. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do the timing first, the whole complete timing, right? Put the timing cover on, then I can put the exhaust, and then this is going to move closer, and you know it's going to be harder to put on, so that's why I'm not doing it now. We're going to be doing the timing. Okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lock in the gears with these special tools. Okay? I'll show you where they go. They slide in and lock the gear with that little pointer. It locks in on the teeth so it doesn't move. All right, I'll show you that. You're going to want to put the tool in here. It's going to slide into the teeth. And the reason for that is you want to line them up pretty much straight. You see the timing mark? Right, that's off right now. You see the tooth? See the different color chain? And that's the timing mark over there. All right, they have to be. It has to be in line with that one, and this one has to be in line with that one. Now, you can get an 18 millimeter wrench, and you can put it in right over there. You see where that slot is? Put it right here. You won't damage anything, and you can turn it. Okay, I'm sorry. You can turn it. See if you see how it has the pressure of the springs. Doesn't want to do it, so that's where this tool comes in. You want to line it up pretty much straight like that, and then just slide the tool in and lock in the gear. And basically you want it something like that. This is the mark. That's different color link. That's the mark. It's supposed to be on there. It's got to go a little bit more. So it's going to be like that. You see the mark right there? It's on. And see that one's on. And the tools are locked in place so it can't move. And you can still put your chain guides on both sides, no problem. And then we're going to go on the bottom. So this is what we did. Now, you put the chain on from the top. Like I said, you line the top marks up. Now on the bottom, it's going to be this chain right here, this link, with this dot. Okay? And that means the crank and the cams are aligned. Then what you do is you slide in this one. You slide in, you have plenty of slack to slide it up, tighten it. Okay? Once you tighten both of those, then you turn it counterclockwise just a little bit to make this tight against this guide, and then you slide in this guide and you tighten it up right here. Now when that gets tight, you make sure your marks didn't move. Okay, then you install the new, see the new one, completely different than the other one, the new timing chain tensioner. You torque them down. Okay, you release, there's going to be a clip, you release the plunger so it has torque against it and pressure against it. And then what you're going to do is just turn it a quarter turn one way and then turn it backwards. Just make sure it doesn't jump. You can turn it backwards a little bit and then turn it until you see the secondary. See this line has an arrow. You can't see the arrow. The arrow's pointing down. That has to be pointed down. This mark has to be on its colored link. This mark has to be on its colored link, not to confuse it with the timing, the primary. And then over here, see that mark has to be on its link. Now, that means everything is all set up. The only thing you got to do is put on the oil pump chain. Now, before we do that, we want to make a mark, because you're going to lose your marks. Once you turn the crank, you're going to lose the marks. The links are not going to line up. But that doesn't mean that nothing else lines. Everything else will be lined up. Okay, so what you want to do is you're going to want to make maybe like temporary marks just to get an idea. And then you'll turn it one complete revolution. That means two crank revolutions. And then check your marks again. And don't forget, you have to take the tool out on the top. Okay, let me explain. Now, I didn't turn it yet. Everything is lined up. The marks are lined up. See that? Now, but when you turn it, they're never going to line up again. It takes too long. So what you do is you make a mark on the casting right here with the mark on the cam. And the same thing on this side. See that? And I made a mark up there. So now when I turn it, even though the links are not going to line up, the main thing, as long as the marks on the cams line up to that mark up there. Okay, and the same thing on the bottom. I made a temporary mark. Now I'm going to turn the crank. Okay, and here's the mark. Here's the mark on the crank gear, and I made just a temporary mark. So now we're going to spin it and make sure the marks line up. I turned it even 2 complete revolutions, which is 4 times on the crank. Okay, so now look. You see, even though the it's not lining up here, that you don't look at that. You look at the mark right there and the mark I made right there. Okay, now on this side, you look at the mark over there and then the mark I made there. It's on line, in line. Same thing with the bottom one. Now you know you're all set to go. And now we're just gonna put the bottom. Well, before we replace put the bottom timing cover, you want to replace that crank seal, that front crank seal. I'm gonna do that, clean it up, and then we're gonna put that on. And then when that's on, then we're gonna hang the exhaust back on and start buttoning up the rest. Then after that, you put the chain on the oil pump. All right, that doesn't have to get marked anywhere. There's no marks on that. Okay. Then you install the little arm, tighten it up, and then how you put the tension is this right here. Like I said before, this, when you push, this part goes right behind here in this sleeve right here. I can't do it holding the camera, but you get it. You get a screwdriver back there and you slip it. I'll show you what it looks like it's done. And then this is all finished. Make sure everything that you took off is nice and tight. Okay, and then we're gonna continue. And there it goes. You know what you do? You grab it with like a lock wrench right here. When it's out there, you lock it, and then you just put it behind there where it goes. Do not pry, like get a screwdriver and try to pry on the plastic. On the guys, you'll crack them. Okay, that's just a tip. Installed it. You make sure it's all clean, all the surfaces are clean. Make sure you put the inspection plug back if you took it off. All right, you tighten them all down. Make sure, you know, like I said, both surfaces are clean. Now we're gonna go and install the turbo, the exhaust manifold with the turbo. So make sure the engine is lifted pretty much straight, and then push it back as much as you can. And then just pick up the exhaust with 2 hands, one here, one here. You pick it up and you'll feel it right on the ledge, and you just wiggle it and tap it with a little mallet, and she'll slide right in the track. Right over here, you see the bottom piece? That's the track that it slides into. so it wedges itself, and then you just do the top bolts. That's what I'm gonna do now. Once you get the bolts on, you take a look, make sure they're all nice and tight and even. Don't over torque them. All right, you don't want to break them. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the housing for the variable valve timing over here. We're gonna slide that back, slide that in. Like I said, it's gonna be a really, really tight tolerance. Let me show you. So when you slide it in, like I said, and make sure the pin goes in here and it engages the chain guide. Okay, that's important. Okay, and don't hit it with a hammer because you don't want to mar the aluminum surface in there. It's all machined. Okay, but you wiggle it and she'll go in. And then you're gonna just tighten all the bolts, and the one for the cam too. Okay, and then you put the valve in. Remember, it's right-handed. In other words, you do it to the left to get tight, counterclockwise. Okay, and then you use a special tool right here to tighten it up. You put the plastic cover on. There's a new seal you can put on, and a new seal over here, and an O-ring in here. Now, if you get a good head gasket set, it's going to have those. If you don't, it won't. Okay, so that's good because you don't want no leaks. You want to do this job once. And after this, we're going to put the dipstick in and mount the solenoid. And the dipstick and the solenoid, because you have to put that on first before you put the mount on, the engine mount. Install it. You put your screws, all 1, 2, 3, and one over here to hold the dipstick nice in place. And now you can put the mount on and mount the engine, and then you can continue the rest of the stuff. Alright, so I'm going to put the mount on. Put the mount on, right? Make sure you mount it. The mount itself that goes onto the bracket to the engine is exactly where you take it off. You'll see marks. Like this part. You'll see where it goes, and like snug it down and make sure it's exactly where it's supposed to go, because you know you'll get vibration, or you'll put stress on the mount and may ruin it faster than normal. It says that in the manual too. So next, you put your coolant hoses on for the heater core, one here and one there. Okay, and then you put this thing on, install this. Okay, it goes in the back. You got your 1, 2, and 3 screws right there. That's what I'm gonna do next. Now, when you install the rubber hose over here for the turbo, there's a clip. It's really hard to put that thing on. It has a lot of pressure. What you could do, a little tip, is put a screw clamp on there. You see how I put a screw clamp? Right there. So you could just put a screw clamp. It's easy to screw it and take it off, because that big clip, you know, it's really a pain in the neck to get things in there, to get it out and to get it on. And screw clamp is even better. Then you put the PVC back on, put a new gasket. It should come in the kit. Okay, we're gonna put that on. And then we're gonna put on the vacuum pump. Now, a special note on the vacuum pump is you have to put, even though it's a brand new gasket, these things always leak. I have even a video that when these leak down, it looks like it's a main seal leak. Okay, you have to put a thin film of gasket maker silicone seal, a gasket maker, on both sides of a brand new gasket, and then torque it on properly. Because there's only 3 bolts that hold it, and this hole right here has oil pressure that easily can come out if it's not torqued down the proper way. All right. Install the housing, the vacuum pump housing. Okay. And make sure you don't forget, you know, to tighten them and torque them down properly, because that's that prone area to leak, like I said before. All right. And I put the spark plugs in, and the coils, and the PVC. So next, we're gonna concentrate on, I'm gonna put the high pressure fuel pump in there. Make sure you lubricate it with a little assembly lube, okay? And don't forget the plunger. And then I'm gonna clean up the intake and the valve body, and then I'm gonna put it on. When you put in the plunger here, you see that little indent? That goes up. Okay? Make sure you lube it. Let me show you. You see, there's a little indent up there, and then you just slide it in. And make sure you lube it. Okay? And then you just put this in the same way you took it out, like that. That's how you install it. Okay? And don't forget, when you put the intake on, you have to screw the fuel pressure rail, fuel pressure line, I mean. I put the overflow tank on. Same way you took it off, you got your 2 screws. Make sure you put this line on. And if you took off the line, whichever line you took off, just check everything, make sure everything's okay, especially over here. Make sure nothing pulled out. Okay? So we're basically ready to do the intake. You double check your work. And so we're gonna do that now. All right, before I do that, I flipped over the electrical. All right, make sure you plug them in over here, here, here. Okay, the ground is important. Make sure you do your ground. Okay, and then you put your connect the coils up, and then remember those 2 wires that go down to the turbo. Make sure they're routed the proper way. Okay, I got this. You got these little things that go on the hoses to keep everything in order. Okay, like that. All right, over here. And then the 2 hoses on the bottom, that takes care of that top harness. And we're gonna continue. And make sure you put the vacuum line back here. If you took it off from the brake booster, it goes there. Then you have another vacuum line right here. Make sure that goes on. Okay. And put them in its little clips. There, here, here. And then this is gonna get hooked up to the solenoid. Make sure you put a new gasket on it over here. All right, you can clean up the injectors with a little wire brush, very, very gently. You know, take off all the carbon, a little soot. Blow them out with carburetor cleaner, and then spray it with a compressed air, clean them up. Okay? And then it's a good idea to take off the throttle body and clean the throttle body out while you got it out. And it comes with the gaskets. If you get the right headset, it's going to come with the gaskets for that. And then after that, we're going to install it. Okay, took it off, the 4 bolts, 30 Torx. And then you just clean all this book out of here. I actually have a video on how to clean throttle bodies if you want to watch that, if you don't know how to do it. So now, when you put the intake manifold on, you got to remember, make sure you know where your plugs are. This plug right here, this is slipped over now. It's going to go right here. Fuel pressure sensor over here, okay? And everything else, you're going to be able to, once you slide it on, you're going to be able to get it. You got your plugs here, and then these plugs, they go on the top. So the only one when you're sliding it on right now, you have to worry about is plugging this one in. And it's a good idea, put a little bit of oil, a little film on each one of these little seals over here on the injectors, so they slide in the ports nice. And what you're going to do when you slide it in, you slide it in straight. Okay, so I slid it in. It's not screwed down yet. You want to make sure your green goes to your green. You have a bigger plug here that plugs into the back. You have one on top here, and don't forget the one in the back right here. This one goes. It was on the in the harness in the car. All right, that one gets connected over there. Okay. Now you come around this side. Make sure you do the oil pressure switch here if you took it off. Make sure over here, this switch is there. And now when you bring these up, first tighten them down, but when you bring these up, you're gonna have right here for the throttle body, right here for the sensor, the air sensor, here, and then over here, okay? So I'm gonna screw it down, torque it down, and then hook up those rest of the wires, and then we're gonna take it from there. When you're putting the bolts on the bottom, over here, and it's hard to get them in there, what you can do is use a magnet, all right? You put the bolt on top of the magnet, and then you can feed it in, okay, until you get, and then you can like screw it enough threads that you can pull the magnet out and the bolt stays there, okay, so you don't lose them down in there. So you put on your the vacuum line over here, the fuel line here, you got this vacuum line over here, okay. Make sure you tighten all the braces and everything like that on the here. I told you about that. I put the tank already. What else? And just make sure that the connections are tight over here, 17 millimeter. It's nice and tight. And you just check everything. Make sure you didn't miss any kind of wires. Okay. Put a new oil filter. And what else? I put that pipe, I think I told you that before. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna install the intake tube down there. So I'm gonna lift the car up. Right, before I go in, I installed the air cleaner, might as well. Now don't forget, you got an air pipe down there that goes to the air pump for the that blows fresh air into the system for the emissions. Make sure that's hooked up. Also over here, okay, make sure you got the air filter in there, mass airflow connector right there. Now I'm just going to install the other piece that was here, with the two screws here, and then I'm going to go on the bottom. When you put the crank on, the harmonic balancer, you'll see, there's a space. You see, like that one is the bigger one. You see what I'm saying, right? I can't put right over there. Everything else is even. So what you got to look for on this is that big thing. You see it right there? All the other ones are the same. That basically has to, and don't turn nothing right now. Once you take that tool out, you do not turn nothing. You'll destroy everything. Okay, you just put this in. See where it is? It's basically up. And this one is basically up. And you put it there until you feel it. You'll feel it. You're going to feel it like when you turn it, it's going to want to come out. And you turn it the other way, it's going to want to come out. And then you're going to, it's going to be seated in. And then you put the bolt in hand tight. And then you're going to torque it with the special tool. Okay, now, once you have that special tool on there, you have to torque this down to 110 foot-pounds. And then an additional 90. Okay, and then you're good to go on that bolt. After you do that, you install the pipe. Make sure it pushes it in. It locks in the circlip down there. Yours may have a circlip here or a screw clamp, depending on the year. All right. You put your 30 T-Torxes here. All right. You snake the belt over the alternator. Okay. AC crank. You hold it here like this. Put a socket, 17 millimeter. Turn it so the idler goes up, and then you just slide the belt under like that. Okay, and then we're pretty much done. We're gonna start putting the coolant in there. I'm not gonna put the fender lining, anything in there like that until I run the engine, operator temperature, make sure there's no leaks. Okay, so right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the coolant in, engine oil, and we're gonna take it from there. When you fill up the coolant, fill it a little bit higher. See, that's the maximum right here. Over here, a little bit higher because it's gonna suck in some fuel, suck in some coolant and all the little crevices and everything, and the heater core or whatever. Don't overfill it more than that. Okay, and the oil, put it up to the full. Actually, I ran out of oil, so I'm gonna go get it now. And just like I said, I just put the coolant in there. I looked underneath to see if there's any leaks. No leaks yet. Hopefully there'll be no leaks. And when I put the engine oil in it, I'm going to start it, and we're going to take it from there. So before you start it, what you're going to want to do is put the key in. Don't press the brake, okay? And let the pump run. You hear it running, and then it stops. Shut it off. Do it again. Ooh. You hear it, and then it stops. Let it pressurize the system. Then you come out here, and you can just smell. Make sure you have no. I mean, you can take the cover off if you want, but the fuel line is right down there. And just smell. Make sure you don't smell no fuel. And then it should fire right up. Maybe make a little noise. But if it fire up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the camera because I have it on a lift still. I'm going to press the brake and I'm going to press it. Let's see if it goes. There we go. Fire right up. It may sound a little noisy until the oil pumps up the lifters and everything. And right off the bat, it seems like it's okay. What you do is let it idle. Do not rev it. Don't rev the engine. Let it idle. Let it come up to operating temperature. And the fans, you want the fans to circulate twice. In other words, you want them to turn on, then they're going to turn off, then they're going to turn on again and then turn off. Then you'll be okay. Then you can rev it a little bit, make sure it's smooth, take it for a test drive. Okay. You see me run a little rough until all the lifters and the fuel system, everything gets the air out. It's not so bad now. So then you just look for leaks. Make sure you don't got any leaks. I'm going to lift it up, or you can go under there if you don't have a lift. You got no leaks, you're good to go. And pay attention to the area where the vacuum pump is. Make sure that that's not leaking. Okay? Pay attention to the areas over there, wherever you broke the seals. Okay? Make sure there's no leaks there. You remember in the beginning, the main seal? Okay? It's not leaking. I knew it wasn't. And everything looks good. I'm going to bring it up to operating temperature, take it for a test drive, and that's it. Everything seems good. We took it for a test drive, runs great, and that's a successful repair. Now, keep in mind, it is a little bit tough, maybe a little bit overwhelming for guys doing it the first time. But you know what you think about? You think about the $3,000 that you just saved. Especially, I'm talking about like if you have to take the head off and do a little bit of valve work, it's easily $3,000. Without that, it's about $1,600. So, unless you want somebody else to repair it and give them your money, you follow my video, you can do it and save money, right? Especially in this economy, right, guys? All right, Motorcar Nut here. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Any questions below, leave them. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. Check out all my other videos. I got a lot of related videos to VW, all kinds of cars. Over a couple of hundred videos so far, and I keep going strong. All right, guys, see you in the next video. Bye.